What's up, THS? I'm Mrs. Smith from the library. Our theme for this week is girl power, and these are my top three. So, our first book for this week is a little nonfiction wonder that I just finished, and I'm still so curious about it. I never thought that I would read a book about two physicists and want to know more, but here we are. Um, our first book for this week has a long title, so I might have to read it. Radioactive: How Irene Curie and Lise Meitner Revolutionized Science and Changed the World. Yes, that title is a mouthful, but it tells us everything that we need to know about what we're about to get into in this book. And when the author says that these women revolutionized science and changed the world, that's not hyperbole. This book is about their discoveries and their theories, which led directly to the creation of the atomic bomb. What's remarkable about what these women accomplished is related to the period of time that they accomplished it. First of all, the world of physics was largely, with a couple exceptions, closed off to women. And secondly, during this period of time, scientists were figuring out that what they understood about the atomic structure was incomplete, if not incorrect. Ms. Thomas, in times past, has been kind enough to help me understand the evolution of the atomic structure from the plum pudding model to Bohr's model to the electron cloud model. And if you haven't taken chemistry yet or you don't know what I'm talking about, don't let that deter you from reading this book. If you might be like me and maybe you've been introduced to these concepts, but you don't necessarily like have your brain all the way wrapped around it, you can still appreciate this book without knowing about nuclear fission or elongated nuclei splitting and all the wonderful things that Curie and Meitner were able to put down on paper for us. There's a great story at the beginning of this book that takes place in 1933. Irene Curie and her husband are presenting some of their the data and their interpretation of that data at this science conference, and Irene Curie is challenged. Her conclusions are challenged by Lise Meitner at the beginning of this book, and it's kind of fascinating. Really gives us a look into these two strong women who were trying to forge their own path in this world that was built for boys, essentially. They were in lecture halls and classrooms and laboratories where they weren't wanted, but they did not let that stop them from just like following their curiosity and the things that they were passionate about. And this book is the story about how their passions eventually changed the world in the form of the atomic bomb.
Hello everyone, I am here to talk to you about Children of Blood and Bone. It is by Tomi, Adeymi? I'm not sure. And Zili is the main character. She is a teenage girl. She's grown up in a mythological place in Africa, and there used to be magic. And certain people had magic. The monarchy did not have any magic. And depending on like your tribe, you had skills, kind of like the waterbender and Avatar and airbenders, that type of thing. So Zili remembers when magic died because it was at the order of the king. The king basically committed mass genocide, and he killed her mother and all people who had magical powers. And so magic has been gone for decades. And Zili has one chance to bring magic back. And also she wants to work against the monarchy so that she can bring magic back. So Zili has to work with a princess who is like on the down low fighting for the people of the country instead of with her family and the monarchy. And Zili starts to get to know not only the princess but her brother, the prince, and there's a little something going on in there. there are really cool, like African mythological beings in this story. There are lepernaires and chitinairs, and so there are these big animals, kind of like in Coco, where you have your spirit animals that can protect you, and you can ride them into battle and they'll come and rescue you. There's obviously lots of magic. It is a dystopia when the world starts, and this right here is hair. And so the mark of magical people are white hair. Can you see mine? You see it? Wait. Where is it? Look at that. You see all this? Ugh. And so the more magical you are, the kinkier your hair gets and the whiter it becomes. So Zelie, by the end of the story, has a full afro of white hair. It's glorious.
Book number one has almost everything that I love in a novel, wrapped up in about these 300 pages. It is dark and twisty, it's dramatic. There are complex relationships, a little bit of the supernatural, it's suspenseful, and there is a wild, headstrong girl at the center of it. Our top book for this week is by Kim Liggett, and it's called The Grace Year. The Grace Year takes place in Garner County, and if you talk to any Garner County male, he will tell you that his hometown is heaven on earth, utopia for the patriarchy, if you will. Women outnumber men by a pretty good clip, so there's a lot of competition for being courted by a potential suitor. And if you aren't chosen to be a wife and then eventually down the line a mother, as a woman, you are left with a pretty grim outlook. So some Handmaid's Tale vibes in there. Also some kind of Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen energy going on in this book, with Tierney, our main character. So Tierney is about to turn 16, and in Garner County, your 16th year is called the Grace Year. And all the girls in Garner County are rounded up right before they turn 16, and they are sent out to like a remote compound that they call the encampment. And it's there that the women will live together for a year in the woods to purge themselves of their magic. So in Garner County, people believe that young women on the verge of adulthood possess this magic that they will use to seduce and entice, to lure, to manipulate men. That's a problem for men because they obviously can't be held responsible for their actions. And that's a problem for the married women who feel threatened by these young women as well, in this weird little cultish dystopian village where they live. And so, as part of her Grace Year, Tierney leaves her family, her village, and goes to the compound. And like every other girl in her Grace Year, she doesn't know if she's going to make it back okay. There is some internal conflict, obviously, between the girls, and that's where a lot of the action in our book happens. There's like this Regina George character named Kirsten, who is kind of our villain. But then outside of their own in-group, there are like poachers who literally hunt these girls, just waiting for them to be alone and vulnerable, so that they can sell like their body parts for cannibalism so that people can ingest their magic. It's crazy. This is a crazy, weird, wonderful, wild, engaging book that I think you're going to love. If you like dark and twisty stuff like I do. And that will wrap up our list for this week on the theme of girl power. Those are my 3 books for this week. I would happily bring them to you in one of your classrooms if you'd like to read them. I'll also happily bring you anything else that you'd like to read, and you can find more options on the library website. Browse the catalog in Destiny Discover, or just send me an email if you would like some personalized recommendations from your favorite librarian. Have a wonderful week. Thanks for watching. I will be back next week with more book talks for you from our library. Take care. Bye-bye.